Hey guys, Auspicious'Aussie here, and welcome to episode 7 of our local to global series here with the Canadian Wrestling Coalition. Now, I'm essentially recording this episode straight after the last one. Of course, I kind of figured out a few things that needed to be changed, and even still, we need to change more stuff for this episode. So what we're going to do, and what we figured out, was the fact that we are essentially maxing out the most popularity we can gain per month. So instead of running, well, we were essentially running 5 shows. We had 4 weekly shows and then a big pay-per-view sort of monthly event. But what we're going to do is we're going to make both of these to dormant. And of course, we went down to 3 shows. And for the start of this episode, we're going to go down to 2 shows. So we're going to make both these dormant. And hopefully we gain popularity from both these shows. But what I think might happen, so we have Warzone Night 1, Warzone Night 2. What I think might happen is we might, again, gain the maximum amount of popularity, which I think is, 2 points of popularity. Maybe it's less, I have no idea. Maybe it's like 1.5, I don't know. But what I'm thinking is, if we do gain the maximum amount of pop from the first show, then we're only going to run 1 monthly pay-per-view. Just to essentially max out the amount of pop we can get, and then to, of course, essentially prevent ourselves from losing as much as possible. Now, also in the last episode, we essentially signed a completely new roster. Lots of Americans, and all of them are quite young. Some of them need a lot of work, others not so much. And we found some negative tag team chemistry in that last episode as well with our new roster. Now, as far as the wrestlers we do still have Americana, and we do still have Kamikaze. So we technically have 2 of our stronger members of our first roster that we actually had. So, you know, we've got some interesting things. We also have a new champion from the last episode as well. So if you haven't watched it, I would really suggest going back and checking it out. And of course, you'll see exactly who we signed, the title change, and then of course, all of our, essentially me rambling on about all of our popularity. Essentially what I've worked out, or what I at least think I've worked out over the course of the last sort of 4 episodes. And yeah, I read the handbook. Essentially, the only thing you really need to know. If you're stuck on something, you really don't know what it is, read the handbook, and I'm sure you will be more informed than you were previously. Anyway, we've got a lot of processing to do right now because we have to essentially go to the last week of July. So I think, let me explain a few things here. Now, what's going to happen is, we're pretty heavily into debt at the moment. And obviously, we have about 12 months. It's actually about 18 months with a brand new company. If you set it to open in January of 2020, you then have 18 months from the first month of the game to then get yourself out of debt. If you go over the 18 months, then you find yourself in uncharted territory. And if you're still in debt, your company can be closed. Now, that's obviously literally the worst case scenario. We don't want that to happen. And I don't think it will happen because there are a lot of different things we can sort of do to prevent it from happening. Obviously, at the moment, the less shows we do, the lower amount of money we will be losing. So that's obviously a benefit. We're already up to 9 popularity. So we're gaining about $3,700 per month in sponsorship money. Obviously, we're not gaining anything in way of gate receipts. So the attendance money is 0 because we are doing free tickets in order to maximize that popularity. And what we could do, like I said in the last episode as well, we could go back to charging normal prices for our tickets, which will then allow us to gain a decent amount of income through attendance, ticket sales. But the other thing we can also do, if it gets really, really rough, and I'm talking like we get to maybe month 16 or month, maybe 15, and we have 3 months left and we're still in debt, we can essentially just take those months off and we'll still be getting paid our sponsorship money. So every month we take off, we would still be earning a minimum of $3,700 profit, because obviously no shows means no show costs, no worker costs as well. And I did notice at the end of last episode that our worker costs are a lot higher than they were previously. And that is because of the travel cover that we have to pay for all of our new workers that we got in. That is totaled right at the end of the month. So you don't actually see that number until the last day. That's something that also needs to be mentioned, I guess. But apart from that, I mean, I think we're going to be fine, is what I'm trying to say. We should be fine. Like I said, if it gets really drastic and it gets a bit, down to the wire, we can just take those months off, recoup the money, get ourselves back into a decent position, and then sort of go forward from there. But I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. I'd prefer not to do that. And what I would like to do is to continue what I said in the last episode, and that is for us to maximize the popularity, get at least to 15 in Ontario, then go back to normal ticket sales, make money from our shows, whether it be 1 or 2 shows per month. Obviously, if we're on normal ticket sales, then you would assume that we would then need to run maybe 2 shows minimum, at least. Maybe even 3 shows to sort of maximize the popularity difference from having free tickets as opposed to normal. So that could be something we have to sort of worry about. I do like the look of this guy here, Sasquatch McGraw. We did look at him very briefly. But he looks pretty good. Ray McGraw. He's actually part of a tag team as well. So if we want to bring in some tag teams, he would be a relatively decent option. All right, so we're almost there. I think Saturday is day 1. So here we go. Now, I'm not too sure what we're going to do in regards to a main event. We might do... I think I know what we'll do. We'll do, depending if he's there. If Kamikaze's there, then our first main event will probably be Kamikaze taking on Logan Wolfsbane in a number 1 contenders match. But like I said, that kind of depends on exactly what's going to happen. So this is a pretty good example, right, of what I was talking about. So if we don't run any shows for those specific months, we would be essentially making $3,700. As you can see, that's the sponsorship money we get. And obviously we're yet to run a show, but we are right at the end of week 4 of July. So that just shows you what you can do. If you're doing a local to global, you're really in a bad financial situation. You've got some popularity. You can take months off. Now, it is worth mentioning, I think your popularity can go down. So you need to be careful. But I think if you take 1 month off and then you run a show the next month, I don't think you lose any popularity. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's sort of how things worked back on 2016. So, take that for what it is. Again, like I said, I'm not 100% sure if that's the truth and if that's actually what is going on, but it very well could be. Anyway, this wrestling industry is so good right now, and the fact that we're struggling at the moment really kind of has me a little bit frustrated. Anyway, we do have Kamikaze, so let's do that main event that I just talked about before. Number 1 contenders match to determine who will face Americana for the day 2 or the night 2 of Warzone. As far as other matches, let's go for a tag team match. And let's have, I think I want to go with Sinner and Diaz to take on Americana and Gonzalez. It should be a good match. And again, I mean, I know we're spending a bit of money, but that's fine because we're getting pretty close to the 15 popularity that I kind of want. So yeah, let's go with Americana. We need our world champion getting the pinfall victory, I guess, in this match. That's not too bad. And then I guess our opening match will just be Primetime Jack Pride and Pepper Pelton. And of course, they can... Well, they are essentially going to be... I think we've already done this match, haven't we? But we're going to do it again after they had some really negative moments in their tag team or their handicap match on the last show last month. So let's once again go with Primetime Jack Pride. For that one, let's also go for a Logan Kamikaze angle. Let's go unscripted. I think that should be fine. And let's make this... hold on. Need to make the tag match the storytelling. And then let's chuck our angle into there, and we should be good. Alright, so night one, here we go. We start off with a 44 rated angle from Primetime Jack Pride. He did a masterful job of improvising interactions with the crowd. That's a really, really solid angle. I'm very happy with that. We then go into an 18 rated match, which is actually a lot better than what they've been doing recently. It's only 8 minutes as well. And we have Primetime Jack Pride defeating Pepper Pelton in 7:53 by pinfall with a pride fall. Once again, the bout is still dragging in the middle. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but it's just their psychology. It's just so low, and no one in the match can really, make a match flow properly. Alright, we then go into a 35 rated tag team match, where we have Americana Jr. and Marco Gonzalez defeating Original Sinner and James Diaz in 12:06, when Americana submitted Original Sinner, and of course Americana carried the match and Sinner was the weak link. Yeah, James Diaz with a 28. Not too bad. Sinner was really off his game, so, his 14, probably not an actual 14. That's a solid enough match. And of course, all these guys are really going to be helped out with Americana being in there. We then go into a 44 rated angle between Kamikaze and Logan Wolfsbane. And yeah, they both actually did pretty well off script. So that's got me, quietly confident that the next angle between Logan and Americana will hopefully do well unscripted. And yeah, leading into their sort of main event, #1 contenders match for the world title. And it does really, really, really well. We get our highest ever match on the series so far. We get a 51 for this main event on night 1 of Warzone. And we have Kamikaze defeating Logan Wolfsbane in 19:41 by pinfall with a reverse 450 splash. We got a 56 in-ring performance from Logan and a 48 there from Kamikaze. That's a really, really solid match. A 51. I didn't expect to be hitting a 50 right now. Alright, we finished the show. We get a 44 overall rating, and it increased our popularity in one region. Once again, we're going to go with our morale issues. So, Americana, Kamikaze, and I think I actually want to go Primetime Jack Pride, because his promo was really unexpected and impressive, to be honest. Alright, so there we go. Hopefully we can get these morale issues sorted out for both Americana and Kamikaze. That would be nice. Alright, let's have a look at the popularity. We're up to 10. Up to 4 in Manitoba, 4 in Quebec. We got a 1 in the other 2 regions there as well. But they're obviously much less important. Alright, so let's get into night 2. And I am really curious to see what's going to happen. Anyway, we got a... Oh, that's not good. Backstage incident. Unfortunately, we got Logan Wolfsbane antagonizing Primetime Jack Pride. Okay, so it's a knock-on morale hit there. Primetime Jack Pride is unhappy, so that's going to be morale issues for him as well. So that's unfortunate. Yep, he's got morale issues now as well. Ugh. We can never get past these morale issues, or so it seems. At least the finances are looking positive. So far, anyway. Okay. So, backstage... I mean, we're at a 71. That's actually not too bad. And even though he's got morale issues, Primetime Jack Pride has a positive influence backstage anyway. That's really good. I'm happy about that. Okay. Ignore what I said about the issues. We're fine. We're actually better than fine. Alright, so our main event is going to be Kamikaze taking on Americana Jr. We have done this match quite a few times. Hopefully no penalties or repetition, but we will have to wait and see. I don't think we can call the match yet either. I might be wrong, but... I mean, he's got 62 psychology now. And Americana has 72. I mean, let's give it a try. Let's call it, see what happens. Maybe we'll get a road agent note anyway. We didn't get any road agent notes. Okay. That's actually pretty cool. Anyway, tag team match. Let's go for Diaz and Pelton to take on Primetime Jack Pride and James Diaz, maybe? Oops. Let's go Marco instead on the top team there. We'll give it 12 minutes. And we will give Pepper the victory. Don't really care who loses, to be honest. That's alright. And then our final match is going to be Wolfsbane taking on Original Sinner. Hopefully just to improve Original Sinner a little bit. That'd be nice. Out of Logan. And obviously we can do a nice angle for him to open the show. Give that 8 minutes there. Then we'll go another angle for our main eventers. So let's go Americana and Kamikaze. I think we'll unscript them for this one. Like I said, it doesn't really matter too much if it does kind of tank the angle. It should be fine either way. Also need to make this our storytelling. And there we go. Hopefully we find some positive chemistry. Anyway, let's run the show. Alright, so we start off with a 42 rated angle with Logan. He did actually struggle when going off script, so a little bit unfortunate. Could have been a bit higher, but that's perfectly fine. 42 is very acceptable. And yeah, he's kind of a little bit upset that he's not the #1 contender. And going to take out some frustration on Original Sinner here tonight. That is a really, really good match. Logan just carried Original Sinner to a 41 rated match. Anyway, Logan Wolfsbane defeating Original Sinner in 11:37 by pinfall with a belly-to-belly suplex. Logan getting a 50 in-ring, Original Sinner only with a 14. And Original Sinner was really off his game as well. That's an interesting one. Yeah, didn't expect that to be that good, to be honest. We then go into a 27 rated angle, where we have James Diaz and Pepper Pelton defeating Primetime Jack Pride and Marco Gonzalez in 12 minutes 26 seconds when Pepper Pelton pinned Marco Gonzalez with a fisherman suplex. You know, the in-ring performances are getting better. They are getting better, so I can't really fault them too much. We've also got Pepper Pelton getting better at his gimmick, so I'm happy with that. You know, he started off on a poor initial rating. We then go into a 46 rated angle from Americana and Kamikaze prior to the main event world title match, which I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, it might get close to a 50. We'll have to wait and see. And it gets a 50. Get a 50 rated match for our main event here. So two really, really good Warzone pay-per-views, night 1 and night 2. And in an exceptional match, we've got Americana Jr. defeating Kamikaze in 1950 by pinfall with an American Crush. And of course, Americana Jr. making defense number 2 of the CWC World title. And Americana was really off his game. So it could have been even better. Very interesting. 47 for Kamikaze, 46 there in the ring for Americana. But another really good main event and another really good show. Whoa! We get a 46 overall show rating. That is by far our best show ever. But as you can see, the show didn't result in any popularity changes. So we've literally maxed out the amount of popularity we can get just by running one show. So I essentially was correct. Anyway, Kamikaze, Americana, and I guess we'll have to go Primetime Jack Pride as well. Got to get rid of these morale issues. So he's happy, and he's very happy. Okay. I'm going to wonder if that'll actually do anything for their morale. I'm assuming it hopefully will. That'll be beneficial. Alright. So, let's have a look. I mean, we're still about 15,000 in debt. We actually made money last month. We made $393. And we're well over 4,200 in sponsorship revenue. So that's really good. Also, you know, less shows, lower worker costs as well for us. And I think we're pretty much just going to run the one show from now on, because we can only gain that 1 point of popularity per month. So yeah. We've also gotten rid of the morale issues for Kamikaze and Primetime Jack Pride. So that's perfect. I mean, I'm assuming, yeah, that's gotten rid of his morale issues, or his negative influence as a result of the morale issues. And Primetime Jack Pride is now loyal to Alexander Robinson, which is our character and the owner of CWC. So that could be beneficial in the future if Jack Pride is sort of, you know, scouted by one of the bigger companies in the game, such as like TCW, SWF, those type of guys. Very interesting stuff going on. Let's have a look at the creative meeting as well. So franchise players, we've got Kamikaze, number 1, Logan Wolfsbane, number 2, got Americana Jr., number 3, and surprisingly, at 18 years old, we've actually got James Diaz in at number 4. Next big things, obviously, Primetime Jack Pride is pretty incredible. If we have a look at him here, he really does have everything that he needs to become a top-level talent in the game. And of course, he's only 20 years old as well. Hot prospects, we've got Nobody, Talk the Talk, Alexander, and Jack Pride in there as well. So his promos are going to be really, really good going forward, especially once he gains, you know, a bit more popularity as well in Ontario. Our showstoppers are essentially just our franchise players. Same for the ring generals there. Who's hot? Who's not? And we've got some more hidden gems out there. We got Elliot Laurent as well, who was one of the new workers that was generated. I do like the look of him. Those, you know, entertainment stats are beyond ridiculous. And he is Canadian as well. The unpredictable personality has me worried. It's kind of the only thing that has me worried, if we're being honest. I do like Riley Patton. Could be another guy we bring in. Very talented. Not going to become a big star, though. But he does have a professional personality. And then we got Robin Newman as well, who has a quiet personality. I like Robin as well. Probably a bit more of a mid-carder. But maybe him and Riley could be a tag team together. They're also going to be relatively cheap. Yeah, only 40 per show. So we might bring them in relatively soon. Once we need some more workers. Anyway, let's get into the next show. We do have a lot of processing to do. And again, we're only going to be doing one show per month from now on. Just the one. It's all we need to maximize the popularity. I'm looking forward to getting up to a decent level. I think once we go up in size to... What is it? Small? Is it tiny or small? I think it might be tiny. Tiny, small, medium, yeah. So I think tiny is our next. Ooh, Sterling Whitlock is the protege of the tag team legend Alexander Robinson. I mean, Sterling Whitlock would be an interesting guy to get in. I think he's with US Pro at the moment when you start off the game. But if he, for some reason, doesn't get re-signed, he could be a good pickup for us in the future. A sort of like top-level talent. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick sip of water here. Because like I said, I did record the previous episode just before this one as well. Alright. Throat feels a little bit better. I've got to say, I know I've said it's a massive challenge, the local to global. And obviously, figuring all this different stuff out has been frustrating and stressful. But I'm still enjoying this. I'm actually enjoying it more now that it's made me look into the game a little bit more. And to try and find out exactly what's going on. Because I should say I didn't exactly know that these had been sort of changes put into the game to essentially prevent what people were doing and what I myself was doing back on 2016, when you could essentially run as many shows as you wanted in that first month of a brand new company and essentially gain as much popularity as possible. So they have done that, but you can actually turn that off in the editor. But I decided, or in the game settings, but I've decided not to do that. I want to play, like I said was it last episode? I want to play the game how it's meant to be played. The only thing I'm going to edit in terms of this series is the finances for BMCW and possibly the finances for CWA, depending on what happens. But for sure, BMCW, so Black Maple, our company that we're at war with at the moment in Ontario, they're definitely going to run out of money. We only gave them $100,000 to start off. And of course, they were also local to global, essentially. So 0 popularity, 0 momentum, 0 prestige, apart from the money situation. So yeah, like I said, we're going to fund them. I mean, they have Honest Frank as their owner. So in theory, Honest Frank is essentially going to be like a sugar daddy to the company and essentially put in his own finances, similar to, I guess, Tony Khan in real life with AEW. So yeah, that's the game plan in regards to that. They're running some really, really good shows. So I think once we get a few years into the game, realistically, they should be competing with us. Possibly not, because we might have surpassed them before they can get to small size, which I think is when regional battles start. I might be wrong on that, but I'm not sure if it's tiny or if it's small when regional battles start. For my sake, I kind of hope that it's small. But even if it's not, the fact that we're going to be scaling back at 15 popularity as opposed to the size increase at 17 is to get ourselves financially viable in case we have to go into regional battles in the future. So, yeah, you know, I'm trying to cover all the bases that we're going to need, and hopefully allow us to be a much more successful company going forward, especially once we get to 15 popularity and we can then sort of, I don't know, I guess get competitive is probably the best way of saying it. Once we can become financially viable for ourselves, making a decent, you know, amount of profit per month, we can then hire a bigger roster, better workers, some experienced workers as well, to hopefully, you know, train up some of our younger guys. And I think it should be good. It should be good all around. And like I said, I thought a bit more in depth as to what the plan is going to be. And I think it should work pretty well in theory. Now, one thing I have been recommended is getting in Yuta Asono, who is a very, very talented worker as well from Japan. He would be good. I think he might come in the next round of signings. But there is always, I would say, a pretty high possibility of him getting signed by one of the bigger Japanese companies. And of course, we'd also have to convince him to come and work in Canada as well. So he could reject it, probably wouldn't, but another thing for us to be considering when we, you know, actually decide we've got enough money to go in and sign him. All right, we're almost there. One more day to process. And we can get into our next pay-per-view, our next monthly event. Nice. So Original Sinner has chosen to relocate, and he now resides in Ontario. So I'm assuming we don't have to pay him travel cover anymore, his travel cost. If so, that's really, really good. Nice little positive there. As you can see, you know, we're making a decent amount of money just with 10 popularity. So we should be fine. Anyway, we got Pure Disrespect 2020 coming up right now. So let's get in. Let's get booking. We got another backstage incident. This time we got Jack Pride helping to create a fun and relaxed atmosphere backstage. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Jack Pride. I thought he was going to be like a negative influence backstage. So I'm very sort of pleasantly surprised that is not. Anyway, Kamikaze not going to be here for this one. Also, the economy is now falling at a 74. So I need to be wary of that as well. But the wrestling industry is at a 95. So, yeah, we don't have to worry too much. Anyway, as far as our matches go for this show, let's go with a main event of Wolfsbane and Gonzalez. Yeah, we'll go with Gonzalez in the main event. I think he can be carried by Wolfsbane. Should be relatively good, I think. Let's do another handicap match. And this time I want to have Americana take on who haven't we done yet? Let's go for Diaz and Pepper. Have we put them together yet? I don't think we have. So let's do those two. We're going to give Americana the victory. Will we? I don't think we will. Let's see if we can do James Diaz. Let's make it decisive, but let's also keep him strong. Okay, so he was going to complain, but he saw the intimidating sight of James Diaz. I like that. I like that. Diaz not taking any crap from anybody. And he's a bit of a badass, let's be real. Anyway, we are going to repeat this match. It did really badly the first time we ran it. But I'm hoping it's going to do a little bit better. So let's have a look. See how it does. It should be better because in theory they both have better popularity than they first had. I would like to give Jack Pride 8 minutes, but okay, that should be fine. Awesome, okay. Also make the handicap match a storytelling match. There we go. And then finally, let's go with Logan. And I guess we'll put Marco in the angle as well. We won't rate anything with him. But let's just put him in there. He might get benefited slightly. Possibly. Anyway, are we good to go? We are good to go. Let's run the show. Alright, so we start off with a 37 rated angle, so that's not too bad. Improvising well. We have Primetime Jack Pride cutting an angle, saying that he wants to rise to the very top in the Canadian Wrestling Coalition. His match gets a 20, where we have Primetime Jack Pride defeating Original Sinner in 7:53 by pinfall with a Pride fall. Once again, bout dragged in the middle. And we also had Jack Pride, who seemed off his game. That's much better than their first encounter together. We then go into a 41 rated handicap match where we have James Diaz and Pepper Pelton defeating Americana, the world champion, in a handicap match in 11:55 when James Diaz pinned Americana Jr. with an Asian thumb spike. As you'd expect, Americana carrying the match, but he was also really off his game. So that's interesting. Got a 54 in-ring performance, so he's doing really well. James Diaz with a 32. That's also really solid. Alright, so we then go into a 40 rated angle where we have Logan Wolfsbane cutting an angle onto Marco Gonzalez. Basically, just rubbishing him, to be honest. Saying that he's not good enough to be in the main event. And that Logan is essentially going to send him back down into the mid-card where he belongs. He was also very poor when trying to improvise his dialogue. A little bit unfortunate. Anyway, the main event does really, really well, getting us a 49. And again, it's another carry job by Logan Wolfsbane. And he defeats Marco Gonzalez in 20 minutes, 27 seconds by pinfall with a belly-to-belly suplex. Logan getting a 60 in-ring performance. That is massive. And we had Marco there with a 26. That's pretty insane. That is pretty insane. Anyway, let's finish the show. We get a 43 for the overall rating. Of course, increasing our popularity in one region. And again, we're going to praise Americana. We'll have to praise Logan again as well. And let's go for James. Yeah, James Diaz. Alright, so very happy, pleased. I think once you get it to very happy, it gets rid of their morale issues. I might be wrong, but that's what happened to Jack Pride just before. I'm hoping it's going to be the same. Yeah, so there we go. Americana, no more morale issues. And we're up to an 84 backstage rating. Man, this series has turned around big time. I can't believe that. Anyway, the finances are also looking really good. We're not going to make that much money, I don't think. Let's advance one day. Let's see what happens. Advance one day. I think we'll do one more pay-per-view for this episode, one more show. But it's going well. Like I said, we've turned things around, and that's massive. We made a profit last month of $2,800 already. And that's just by running the one show per month. What was our worker cost? It was only $812. That's very low. Very good as well. I guess Kamikaze wasn't used as well. And he's usually about an extra 80. So, yeah, I don't know. It's good. Anyway, let's get into Insurgency. And like I said, we've got a lot more processing to do. But basically, that'll be our last show of this episode. And I feel like it's been a really good one. Actually, I might want to go back and try and pause this multi-advance. Just because I want to have a look at our size. See if we went up to 11 popularity after that last show. I should have checked it. Okay, perfect. So, size. We're up to 12. Okay. We're up to 12. We gained 2 points that month, I think. Yeah. We went from 10 to 12. August to September. Very interesting. Similar to June to July. There we go. So we're very, very close. Next episode, we should be at the 15 mark. And then we're going to go back to normal ticket prices. So it's going to be interesting. Anyway, let's have a quick look at popularity. Americana is up to 44 pop in Ontario. That seems pretty crazy. Got a bad feeling about him. I have a feeling he might be poached away by US Pro or TCW perhaps. Actually, considering he's working in Canada, he's actually got better popularity in Canada than he does in the US. CWA might come in for him. I didn't think about that, but that's a possibility. Anyway, we got 22 pop there for James Diaz. We've got a 45 for Kamikaze, who for some reason has 47 in Quebec. Got a 29 there for Logan Wolfsbane. But he's a future champion, future world champion for sure. And of course, his popularity will go up as a result of that. We've got Marco Gonzalez with a 17. That's pretty respectable. We've got a 16 there for Original Sinner. I think the carry match that he had with Logan really helped him. Got 17 there for Pepper as well. And finally, 17 there for Jack Pride as well. So they're all doing pretty well. They're all doing well enough, at least. And I'm kind of happy with where their popularity is, especially Diaz. So Diaz is actually above the rest. I'm assuming with that victory over Americana. We're also going to give him a world title match as a result, as he did pin the world champion. Even though it was a handicap match, he did get a pinfall victory over our world champ. So I think for this last pay-per-view, Insurgency, I think we should give him an opportunity. He's been very impressive so far. And like I said, when we signed him, I really want to see what he can do. Because on the BCG series, he was a young lion. And of course, he couldn't beat anybody that was an established member of the roster. So we didn't really get to see what he was all about. Despite having, really, really promising stats and potential, I would say. All right. I'm looking forward to this last show. I want to see if we get up to 13 popularity. That would be ideal. Would be perfect, actually. And then all we'd need is potentially even one more show after that. Depending if we get the double increase for a month. Which kind of seems to be happening every other month, if that makes sense. Every second month. All right. We're getting up there. Almost to the end of week 2 here. I think part of me kind of wants... Obviously, with my series, I don't like to cut stuff out between episodes, like between shows. And obviously, in the future, we're going to be running a proper schedule fairly soon, I would say, with our weekly events. And then we'll get on TV eventually as well. But at the moment, I could probably cut these processing screens out. And obviously, we'd shorten the episode a little bit. I might do it, I might not. Probably not, and I say that because it does actually give me a good chance to talk to you guys and to essentially ramble on about what's happening and what I need to essentially say to everybody. I mean, this guy looks really good, apart from his psychology. Wow. Mark Meer. Oh, he's with the Supreme Wrestling Federation. I thought he was just from one of the random dojos. He looked incredible, though. He only had 15 psychology, but he had like 90s for his entertainment skills and then had like 80 basics. That is literally what you want from a dojo graduate. Because obviously the psychology can be worked on. Slowly, of course. You would kind of prefer, him to have decent psychology and lower basics because, of course, basics is somewhat easy to get up in relation to psychology. Apart from if you have a mentor, which is also something that we could be looking at in the future as well. If we do, like I said, I want to sign a few more experienced members of the roster, preferably 35-year-olds and above. I maybe want to get about 2 or 3 of them. And what we can do is have tag team matches, put them into tag teams to take on our younger guys who are also going to be in tag teams. And then obviously there'll be a bit of a rub-off effect. So good psychology, hopefully rubbing off onto the next up-and-coming generation. And then, of course, like I said, we might get some mentorships out of it as well, which could be, equal increases in anything. Psychology, microphone, acting, what else? Basics, I think, as well. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of benefits. It's worth mentioning Alicia Strong here is actually the 4th highest, well, the 4th rated most popular wrestler in the Cverse right now, working for US Pro. Just thought I'd throw that out there. I checked that before. It was probably about 2 months ago, before I started recording this episode. And it's very interesting. Very, very interesting to see a woman. I mean, she's great, don't get me wrong. But you just wouldn't really expect it, to be honest, in the Cverse, because it does seem like a lot of women are, I guess, underrepresented in the Cverse. Which is, it's slowly changing, game after game. But, it's good to see her up there. That's what I'm trying to say. And it definitely impressed me when I saw her in at number 4. Alright. Ooh. Looks like TCW could be losing Sammy back. It's not really good for them. But as you can see, we've gotten $5,000 in sponsorship money, I should say. I'm going to say it properly. Alright, so we are at 12 pop. Let's see if we can get to 13. Let's book this last show of the episode. We have another backstage incident, this time for Pepper Pelton. And it's a positive one. How nice is it to see positive backstage incidents? They're not really incidents, I don't know what they are. Anyway, he helped create a fun and relaxed backstage atmosphere after finding a discarded karaoke machine. Thank you, Pepper. Thank you. So good. Alrighty, so let's book this first match, which is going to be our main event, and it's going to be Diaz taking on Americana. Like I said, 20 minutes, world title on the line, but unfortunately, not going to be the best night in the world there for Diaz. Wondering if we can call this match. Almost. He's almost up there. He's up to 72 basics as well already. He's gained 3 points since the start of the game. So, well, he essentially got 3 points since March, really. Okay, so there we go. Main event booked in. Up next, let's go for a tag match. Let's go for Logan and Marco. Of course, they were competitors on the last show. And they can take on Kamikaze and Pepper. Kamikaze and Pepper could be a pretty good tag team. They look relatively similar to each other. Let's give the victory to Kamikaze. And we'll make the loser Marco. Alright, there we go. Make that storytelling as well. Actually, let's make that go on first. And then our last match is going to be, once again, Original Sinner and Primetime Jack Pride. Probably will be the last time we do this match, essentially. Let's give Sinner the victory, because I don't think he's actually won one of these matches yet, so... Yeah, Jack Pride beat him both times they versed each other. One of them was a handicap match, anyway. That'll go there. We need to make that storytelling as well. And then angles. So let's go Logan and I guess Marco. I don't think Marco can speak though. Yeah, I don't think he can speak. I mean, he kind of can. Kind of. Let's do it. Let's put it on. He might get some, entertainment skills out of it, potentially. And then finally, let's go with Americana and James Diaz. I think we can maybe do Diaz on Menace. Let's try that, see what happens. Let's advance the storyline there as well. And that'll, of course, go on prior to the main event. I think we're good to go. Alright, let's run the last show of the episode. Not too good. I definitely should have scripted that. That's a bit of a mistake by me. Obviously, Marco's going to be dreadful without a script. But we get a 26 for this opening angle between Logan and his tag team partner, Marco. Leading into a 52 rated tag team match. Not even the main event. And it's our best ever match we've gotten on the series so far. Okay, I didn't expect it. Anyway, we've got Kamikaze and Pepper Pelton defeating Logan Wolfsbane and Marco Gonzalez in 12-18 when Kamikaze pinned Marco Gonzalez with a reverse 450 splash. Once again, Pepper was really off his game. Seems to be really inconsistent, Pepper. Anyway, what a match. What a match. It's definitely going to beat the main event. We then go into a 14 rated match, so it's a little bit worse than their last one. However, there is a pretty good excuse for that. We have Original Sinner defeating Jack Pride in 11:37 by pinfall with a choke slam. But unfortunately, Sinner sustained a strained rotator cuff, and the injury took a big toll. And Primetime Jack Pride was really off his game. So Lots of negatives there. Lots of negatives, and I'm assuming that's probably a botch by Jack Pride. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, we get a 48 for the Americana Jr. James Diaz angle. Of course, Americana on entertainment, and Diaz looking menacing as ever. He apparently performed poorly in this segment, so that's interesting. Anyway, the main... Okay, never mind. Go back, retrace what I said before. The main event is going to do better than that last tag match. We get a 56 rated main event. Our best ever match, beating our second best ever match on the same show. And we have Americana Jr. defeating James Diaz in 1943 by submission. And we have Americana Jr. making defense number 3 of the CWC world title. Getting a 61 in-ring performance from Americana. And a 37 from Diaz is nothing to be glossed over. That's almost the in-ring performances we were getting out of Americana, you know, before we updated the roster and before we got our new roster in. So that's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy indeed. This is going to be a good show rating. Ooh, a 49 for Insurgency. And of course, our last show of the episode. That's a really good way to finish it. I think that deserves a like. Smash the like button, guys. We've definitely gotten the series back up and running. Anyway, I think we're going to go with Original Sinner, because he's obviously going to be injured. Possibly Jack Pride as well, because I'm assuming he might have botched the move there. And then finally, let's go with Kamikaze again. He was pretty important in that tag team match. So there we go. Best ever match, best ever show. Episode 7 of Local to Global. And we're back. We're back, looking good, and doing some good work. Yeah, so there we go. It was a botched move from Primetime Jack Pride. I thought it might have been. So there we go. And now he has morale issues. So he's going to have to be the next one we work on. He's also going to be injured. So let's have a look at medical. If I can find it, it's over here. Ooh, that's actually a bad injury. I mean, he's working through it at the moment. But he's going to be out for 2 months and 2 weeks. That's a long time. Nearly 3 months. So with that said, we might actually go in and sign somebody else. Just so I have 8 members on the roster. But I think we'll save that for next episode. Anyway, before we leave, let's advance one day. I want to see how much money we made. Very curious. Should hopefully be better than last month as well. That would kind of be my guess. Come on, please. Please be over 3,000. Alright, what do we get? Yes! $3,458. That is perfect. Oh, popularity as well. And we're up to 13 in Ontario. It's all coming together. It's all coming together really nicely. And of course, the next size is actually tiny, so I was correct about that. And of course, we are essentially edging our way over to WrestleWorld. And of course, we need 25 popularity in Ontario to get onto there. So that should be interesting. And as you can see, pretty much every company that has the popularity is essentially on this internet subscription service. So there we go. Also, ACPW on there, which is the reason why a lot of our workers have popularity in both Canada and America as well. And of course, that is Kamikaze and Americana. So there is a lot of upside to WrestleWorld, but there's also downside. And that popularity increase, not only does it cost you more money from their wage demands, but also the exposure they have is greater. So therefore, bigger companies will be more interested. Anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of the episode. Please smash the like button if you haven't already. Also, subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. Turn on the bell notifications. We have finally gotten over 9% of my subscribers having the bell notifications turned on. I would love to get into double figures, get into 10%. That would be awesome. So turn on the bell notifications as well after you've hit that big red subscribe button. And apart from that, guys, as always, take it easy and goodbye.